Hey, welcome back to Everyday Economics. This is the podcast that helps you learn about the economic world happening around you every day. I'm your host, Chris Krug, publisher of the Center Square Newswire service. Everyday Economics is brought to you by the Center Square. To support Everyday Economics, please make a tax-deductible charitable contribution. You can do that by clicking the link in the show description. We're recording this episode on Friday, November 14th, 2025. And joining me, as always, my friend and colleague, Dr. Orphe Divounguy, PhD economist. Dr. O, every so often, we try to take a look at government spending and talk about it and try to make sense out of it. You and I are hopping into the sort of like not really the way back machine, but we're going to go back to 2021, and we're going to look at the Biden era Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which was a massive plan to basically fix the failing infrastructure here in the United States. It was a $1.2 trillion bill. It was supposed to add 2 million jobs to the economy, obviously largely around construction. But underlying in virtually every single one of the programs that was included in the bill was something that had to do with climate, specifically carbon and carbon controls. But looking through this bill and asking our dear friends at the various AI sources that we use to make sense of what's been completed, there's not a whole lot that's been completed. This bill runs out, I believe, at the end of the 2020 or at the end of 2026. And in terms of projects that were completed, there aren't many. Some big bridges in some big cities, Philadelphia and Detroit, both had significant projects that were slated and are completed. Beyond that, not a whole lot. And buried inside of this bill are some massive amounts of money. 26 billion dollars for bridges. Just from a bridge, what they call a bridge formula program. Another $12 billion for a bridge investment program. These numbers are somewhat astronomical. Congestion mitigation and air quality improvement program, $13.2 billion. It's kind of like electric ferries, $250 million. It's just kind of bonkers. $36 billion for federal state partnership for intercity passenger rail grants. 36 billion with a B. I spend a fair amount of time, out and about in different cities. And I guess I would just tell you, 4 years into this, I'm not seeing a whole lot of anything in terms of, road improvements. Not to be cute, but did we spend $1.3 trillion to paint new bike lanes in big cities? What exactly has happened here in your view?
Honestly, I tell you what, this is not my research. I just kind of read a research piece that was published by the Urban Institute, and what they find is basically it's been mostly a failure. It didn't really deliver what it promised. Part of it was the cost of construction costs spiked during the pandemic, right? So 2021, this thing passes, construction costs are still rising, labor and material costs, right? The cost of input goes up, you get less output. And basically, that's what happened, right? There's a massive construction productivity crisis in the U.S., and I think that's what we need to address first. if we're going to be able to deliver, the kind of projects that we want to be able to deliver.
So while we were talking about this episode, there were two things that you called out that you think specifically hindered this: the inflation, between
cost of labor and materials,
and right, labor and materials, right, and so, but wouldn't that precipitate, or wouldn't that require the jobs? I mean, did we really see 2 million jobs added as a net positive consequence?
Not necessarily, right? It would not necessarily require the jobs, right? If workers are paid much higher, at a much higher rate, and there's massive labor shortages, that's causing labor costs in construction related, right, to increase really rapidly, like we did, by the way, see during the pandemic, then you're not necessarily creating a bunch of jobs. The few jobs you're creating are cost you way more than they would have otherwise. And so that's a big issue, right? That was a big problem here. The other big problem is, a bus costs more here in America than it does in Europe.
Yeah.
Like things like that. I mean, it's crazy. So like, you want to increase public transportation, but it costs more to increase public transportation in the U.S. In fact, in this Urban Institute study, they show that rail projects actually experience a net decline in spending.
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy because it was $1.2 trillion for this whole thing, altogether. Yeah. So that's the other thing is you want to provide operational support, right? And the Urban Institute study showed that there weren't enough funds allocated to operational support for these transit agencies.
Yeah.
Right. So that was another big friction. So you
could give money, and the government does this, right? You can give money to an agency and tell it to do what it needs to do with it. But if it doesn't know what to do with it, then it doesn't probably.
You can't just throw money at the problem.
Well, so one of the biggest lines that exists in this bill is $148 billion for a program that is called, I want to get this right, the National Highway Performance Program. And when you really kind of get into the program itself, what it talks about is money being given by the federal government to state and local agencies for strategy. I mean, there's no specific, there's no specific. There's no detail, and there'll be another. Looking at this in 2025, there was $30.18 billion allocated to that, and next year, the final year of this plan, there's $30.78 billion allocated to this. And really what this is about is funds that are made. I'm going to read right from the program. A state may transfer up to 50% of NHPP funds made available each fiscal year to any other apportionment of the state, including the Surface Transportation Block Grant Program, Highway Safety Improvement Program, Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Improvement Program, National Highway Freight Program, Carbon Reduction Program, Promoting Resilient Operations for Transformative, Efficient, and Cost-Saving Transportation Formula Program. I mean, okay, but where's the road? Where's the infrastructure?
Let me tell you, this is getting too complicated, even for this conversation, and I can't even keep up. And I try to keep. But look, here's the thing. Right, in terms of solutions to this problem, everyone on both sides of the aisle agrees that we need to focus on keeping the current roadways in a state of good repair.
Agreed.
Right? Like
yeah, let's not make any mistake. This is a Biden era piece of legislation. But this was bipartisan.
Exactly.
This just looks like a massive grift.
Stop trying to build new roads. Focus on fixing the current roads that we got going, that are basically current roads and bridges that are in terrible shape in many parts of the country. That's step one, right? Step two is, well, help those state and local governments with, and also transit agencies with getting stuff done, right? I think so. I think those two things ought to help. Another thing is maybe make sure you have competitive grants, right? A competitive process, right? Because when you're just throwing money at people, well, they don't necessarily get the job done. You want money. You want all of that money to go into the right hands, the people that are actually going to be delivering the stated objectives. So yeah, I think we just got into, this is another story, I guess, of, government throwing money at a problem without focusing on the details and how it was actually going to get done, and really the result. You got to work backwards. You got to start with like, hey, what are we trying to accomplish here? What is it going to take to accomplish this? And not just put together a piece of legislation to win political points. Really, is what I would say. And this ought to be true for both Republicans and Democrats, both sides of the aisle. Look, we want to do what's best for this country, and in doing that, I mean, look, little private sector thinking is needed here.
Yeah, I mean, and like, I'm not trying to put a bow on this, but we should wrap it up. I mean, there was a tremendous amount of money spent. The ideas that exist in this, I mean, I'll just read one more. There's a significant amount of money thrown toward this Safe Streets and Roads for All program, which supports local initiatives to prevent death and serious injury on roads and streets, commonly referred to as Towards Zero Deaths initiatives. Great idea. I'm not sure that anything like that would be feasible. I mean, so I just want to encourage people. I mean, the federal government, the state government, even local governments, they make information available to people. Take some time and see where your money's going. This entire bill just seems like a complete waste of money.
Look. In
terms of the implementation.
Yeah, this is the thing, right? Like, maybe the objectives were noble, right?
Well, nobody's going to disagree with that. I mean, the idea of nobody dying in a car crash or as a result of being run over on their bicycle is a great idea.
I mean, it's just a matter of like, hey, let's get the people in place to actually help us get this done. By the way, some things were kind of out of your control, right? And you're like, hey, what's out of your control? We had massive labor shortages on construction sector. In the construction that basically, resulted in higher cost than previously expected. I get that, right? But we really need to, before we make that mistake again, we need somebody to sit down and say, hey, what did we learn from this massive failure? What are some lessons learned? So that when we're going to try to do it again next time, we can actually get the result, the intended outcome.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it. For Orphe Divounguy, this has been Chris Krug. Subscribe to Everyday Economics wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure you listen to Dr. O and me each week on the Center Square Radio Hour.